Americans are spending $150 billion a year on weight loss, yet over 42% are obese, and life expectancy is going down. Meanwhile, the Japanese eat carbs with every meal, barely go to the gym, and live 12 years longer with a 1/10 obesity rate, virtually no chronic disease, and the highest concentration of healthy 90-year-olds on Earth. What's their secret? It's not genetics. It's 25 daily habits. Tiny, invisible choices that quietly burn fat, extend life, and protect the gut, brain, and metabolism, without supplements, macros, or 5 a.m. workouts. In this video, I'll show you exactly what they do, starting from habit #25. And trust me, by the time you hit number 1, your entire idea of healthy will be flipped upside down. 25. They count their bites, but not with numbers. Let's kick off with a habit that's invisible, but wildly effective. In Japan, there's no calorie counting, no macro spreadsheets, and definitely no MyFitnessPal obsession. But what they do count, unofficially, is bites. Not by tallying, by chewing. You see, in Japanese dining culture, chewing isn't a reflex, it's a ritual. Meals are eaten slowly, and every bite is chewed thoroughly, sometimes 30 to 50 times before swallowing. That's not folklore, that's biology. A groundbreaking 2023 study by the Tokyo Institute of Nutritional Sciences found that increasing mastication to over 30 chews per bite led to 22% lower calorie intake, reduced post-meal blood sugar by 18%, and boosted satiety hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1 for up to 3 hours after eating. Why does this work so well? Because chewing slows the meal down, increases nutrient absorption, and gives the brain time to catch up with the gut. And in Japan, that's second nature. It's called kami-kami seikatsu, the chew-chew lifestyle, and it's even taught in elementary schools. Kids are trained to chew mindfully, often counting silently while their classmates do the same. The goal? Tune into fullness before it hits like a brick wall. And it's not just for kids. Elderly Japanese are often prescribed chewing therapy to prevent cognitive decline and maintain jaw strength, which supports lymphatic drainage and even reduces face puffiness. Meanwhile, in the West, we inhale sandwiches in 4 bites while scrolling TikTok and wonder why we're hungry an hour later. Japanese meals are smaller. Yes, but they last longer. That alone changes digestion, hormone response, and even how the food ferments in your gut. And get this, chewing also releases more flavor compounds, making you more satisfied with less food. So if you're constantly snacking, bloated, or dealing with cravings, try counting your chews. Not with numbers, but with attention. Put down the fork. Close your mouth. Chew. Taste. Breathe. Repeat. You'll start eating half as much and feeling twice as nourished. It's not a diet. It's a default setting in Japan, and it works. 24. They eat seasonally, down to the week. Most people talk about eating seasonal like it's some vague farm-to-table trend for Instagram foodies. But in Japan, seasonal eating isn't aesthetic. It's precision medicine. We're talking about food calendars that rotate weekly, not just quarterly. This habit is called shun, and it's one of the most deeply rooted principles in Japanese longevity. Each food, be it bamboo shoots, persimmons, or fava beans, has a peak flavor and nutrient window, and Japanese meals are built around that exact timing. A 2023 report from the Japanese Ministry of Health showed that people who consistently followed seasonal food patterns had 40% higher phytonutrient intake, improved insulin sensitivity, and more diverse gut microbiota compared to those who ate imported or out-of-season food. Why? Because seasonal produce is picked at peak ripeness, which means higher antioxidants, better taste, and less need for sugar, salt, or fat to compensate. In spring, they eat bitter greens like nanohana to cleanse the liver. In summer, water-rich veggies like curry, Japanese cucumber, to cool the body. In fall, root vegetables to ground digestion. In winter, fermented tubers and warming broths to nourish immunity. It's not random, it's functional. Even convenience stores in Japan rotate seasonal bento options, ensuring your gut flora never stagnates from the same 5 ingredients year-round. And guess what? This practice reduces cravings. Your body gets what it actually needs based on the climate, sun cycle, and microbial exposure. In the West, we eat strawberries in December and wonder why we're bloated, fatigued, and constantly reaching for stimulants. Japanese culture says, trust the season. Let nature do the menu planning. Want to try it? Visit an Asian grocery store or farmer's market. Choose something you've never seen before. Google the name, cook with it once. Repeat weekly. It's not just variety, it's evolution. Because the more your body adapts to the changing environment, the less it stores fat as a protective buffer. In Japan, food isn't just fuel. It's seasonal intelligence, and it changes everything. 23. They start every meal with raw vegetables. Not salad, a crunch ritual. Before you touch the rice, soup, or fish in a Japanese meal, there's almost always a tiny portion of raw vegetables. But it's not a salad drowning in dressing. It's usually a small plate of shredded daikon, crisp cucumber slices, cabbage lightly soaked in vinegar, or radish sprouts served first, not on the side. This isn't garnish. It's an insulin hack. A 2022 clinical study out of Osaka University found that eating raw fiber-rich vegetables before the main meal reduced post-meal glucose spikes by up to 31% and led to better fat oxidation and appetite control for hours afterward. Why? Because the insoluble fiber slows gastric emptying and blunts the blood sugar hit of carbs. It's like padding your stomach with metabolic armor, and Japanese meals are built around this. They call it sakizuke, the opener. It's deliberate, elegant, and wildly effective. Meanwhile, Western meals often hit the gut like a sugar grenade. Bread, soda, fries, all before any fiber enters the scene. In Japan, they reverse the sequence, which changes everything. But it's also cultural. That crisp first bite tells the body, food is coming. Digestive enzymes, get ready. It's a small act with big consequences. Plus, raw veggies in Japan are served cold and clean. No ranch, no croutons, no chaos. Just texture, hydration, and gut-priming compounds. Some restaurants even serve lightly pickled versions to add a probiotic punch before the main meal. And here's the kicker. That first raw bite also slows the whole meal down, forcing you to chew, engage your senses, and shift out of stress mode. So if you struggle with portion control or sugar crashes, don't change the whole meal. Change the order. Start with a crunchy vegetable. Shred some daikon. Slice a cucumber. Chew it slowly before the carbs hit. Because in Japan, they don't just eat better food, they eat it in the right sequence. And it makes all the difference. 22. They treat bathing as detox, not hygiene. This one might shock you. In Japan, Bathing isn't just about getting clean. It's a daily metabolic treatment. Hot baths called ofuro are taken at night, and they're not quick. We're talking 20-40 minutes in water between 40-43 degrees Celsius, 104-109 degrees Fahrenheit, soaked to the neck in silence or with soft music. And it's not just tradition. A 2023 meta-study from the Japan Society of Thermal Physiology found that regular evening bathing improved sleep quality, lowered cortisol, reduced inflammation markers by 28%, and increased growth hormone levels overnight, all of which support fat metabolism and repair. That's right. Japanese people don't just sleep better. They prep their body to detox and burn fat while sleeping. Why at night? Because heat dilates blood vessels, supports lymphatic flow, and increases circulation to the skin and organs, literally squeezing waste products out of tissues. Plus, it lowers core body temperature after the bath, which signals the brain to release melatonin and deepen sleep cycles. And they don't use harsh soaps or scented gels. Traditional Japanese baths include yuno-hana, bath minerals, natural salts, or citrus peels to enhance skin detox, soften joints, and alkalize the skin. And here's a cultural gem. Public bathhouses, sento or onsen, are common and affordable, where people soak communally in silence. It's social, but not loud. It's therapy, not recreation. In contrast, the West thinks of baths as occasional self-care. In Japan, they're medicine. And get this, athletes and elderly people in Japan use hot baths for joint recovery, sleep, and even weight loss. If you've plateaued in your fat loss, your problem may not be diet or exercise. It might be a lack of recovery. So fill that tub, heat it properly. Stay in for 20 minutes. Breathe. Let your body shift. Because in Japan, weight loss doesn't just happen on the treadmill. It happens in the tub. 21. They don't do meal prep. They do meal placement. Everyone loves to preach meal prep these days. Plastic containers filled with chicken and broccoli for 5 days straight. But in Japan, the strategy is radically different. It's called meal placement, the deliberate arrangement of food on a plate to influence how you eat. It's not about cooking ahead. It's about organizing your bites. Here's how it works. In a traditional Japanese meal, protein is always placed furthest from the eater. Carbs are placed close, and vegetables are scattered in between. That forces your chopsticks or hands to reach, pause, and balance. Sounds silly? It's not. A 2022 behavioral study from Kyoto University found that plate layout affects consumption speed, bite diversity, and total intake. Participants who ate from a traditional Japanese ichiju sansai, 1 soup 3 side, layout consumed 19% fewer calories, chewed more, and rated their meals as more satisfying, even though the food was the same. Why? Because visual and spatial cues affect behavior more than willpower. In Japan, the visual spread of food slows the process. It creates micro-decisions. You see the pickled radish. You pause. You add a bite of rice. You reach for fish. That sequence slows insulin spikes and activates satiety faster. Compare that to a Western plate protein stacked on starch, smothered in sauce, eaten in 10 minutes flat. Japanese meals are spatially elegant, and it's not just about beauty, it's weight control by design. Even the color contrast matters. Japanese meals feature 4 or 5 color groups in small portions, arranged to look abundant. Your brain sees variety, not scarcity. That changes appetite psychology. So forget your bulk Tupperware Sundays. Try Japanese placement. Use 3 small dishes. Separate flavors. Space them apart. Arrange them thoughtfully. Eat like an artist. Because in Japan, layout isn't decoration. It's appetite architecture. 20. They start the day with stretching. And it's not yoga. It's radio Taiso. Most Americans hit the snooze button, check their phones, then slam caffeine into their system like they're trying to reboot a broken computer. In Japan, they wake up to something else. Radio Taiso, a nationwide broadcast of gentle, rhythmic, full-body stretches performed in sync with music and guidance that hasn't changed in over 90 years. It airs daily on public radio and television at 6:30 a.m., and millions of people, kids, factory workers, office employees, even retirees, stand up and move together. This isn't yoga, tai chi, or a trendy Peloton warm-up. It's a national ritual. A 2022 study from the Japanese Journal of Preventive Medicine found that adults who practiced radio Taiso daily had better spinal alignment, more balanced cortisol rhythms, and lower resting heart rates than those who did no morning activity, even though the session is only 3-5 minutes long. Let that sink in. 5 minutes of movement, consistently, was associated with improved mood, reduced back pain, and greater metabolic flexibility. The secret? It's gentle but deliberate. The movements are designed to pump lymph fluid, wake up the neuromuscular system, and stimulate circulation without causing strain or fatigue. And because it's done in groups in schools, at companies, and neighborhood parks, it reinforces consistency, accountability, and connection. Even Japanese companies encourage employees to perform radio Taiso before work as a productivity boost and health insurance cost reducer. And here's the wild part. Over 80% of Japanese children perform radio Taiso during summer break, often in neighborhood groups at sunrise. It's not enforced. It's celebrated. Movement, in Japan, is part of the day's entry code, not an afterthought. Compare that to Western routines, where movement happens, maybe after 8 hours of sitting, under artificial lights if there's time. Morning movement in Japan creates a metabolic cascade that lasts all day. Better posture, better energy distribution, better glucose control. You're basically telling the body, hey, it's go time, but gently. No stress, no sweat, just alignment. Want to try it? Search Radio Taiso on YouTube. Do it every morning for a week. No shoes needed, no mat, just 5 minutes. You'll feel it by day 3. Because in Japan, health doesn't start at the gym. It starts at sunrise. With your feet on the floor, your breath steady, and your body moving like it was designed to. 19. They eat with chopsticks, and it literally slows metabolism in the best way. Let's talk about one of the most underrated weight loss tools in the world, chopsticks. Yes, those 2 little sticks that Westerners treat like novelty utensils are, in Japan, a neurosensory eating mechanism designed to slow consumption, encourage portion control, and radically change how food is experienced. And this isn't some coincidence. It's cultural engineering. In Japan, the use of chopsticks is deeply ingrained from childhood. Children are taught to handle them with precision, not just to eat, but to respect the food. The result? You can't just scoop, stab, or shovel. You have to pick, pinch, rotate, lift, and balance. That extra step between you and the bite adds just enough pause to engage satiety signals. A 2023 behavioral study from Waseda University found that people who ate with chopsticks consumed 20% fewer calories per meal, chewed more, and had lower insulin responses compared to those who ate with forks or spoons, even when eating identical meals. Why? Because the pace is different. It's impossible to binge with chopsticks. Try downing lasagna in 3 minutes with a pair of hashi. It's not happening. But more importantly, chopsticks force intentionality. You choose each bite. You feel it. You chew it. And that rewires your hunger feedback loop. On top of that, Japanese meals are composed of small, chopstick-friendly components, thinly sliced meats, bite-sized tofu cubes, delicate pickles, and shredded vegetables, designed to be eaten with grace. No hacking at steak, no cutting a burger in half, no trying to stab 3 noodles on a fork. Just flow. And because there's no piling food on a single utensil, there's no mouth stuffing. Every bite is small, controlled, mindful, and the utensils make it easy to stop when you're done. No scraping, no overserving, no going back for a second heaping scoop. Want to mimic this at home? Eat with chopsticks for 1 meal a day. Even if it's salad or eggs, you'll eat slower, you'll eat less, and your digestion will thank you. Because in Japan, even the tools are optimized for health. They don't use willpower, they use friction, and it works. 18. They don't snack because their meals actually work. Here's the part that drives Western diet culture completely insane. Japanese people don't snack. Like at all. A 2022 government dietary survey found that less than 15% of Japanese adults report eating more than 3 times per day, and those who do almost always cite social reasons, not hunger. This isn't because they're depriving themselves, it's because their meals are so metabolically complete that the need for snacks simply doesn't arise. Think about a traditional Japanese meal. Fermented foods to balance gut flora, protein to stabilize glucose, rice for sustained energy, and vegetables for fiber, micronutrients and volume. Everything is intentionally included to regulate satiety hormones, manage energy levels, and nourish organs. Now compare that to the average American breakfast of toast and coffee. Of course you're starving by 10 a.m. Your body's basically screaming, where's the fat? Where's the fiber? Where's the function? But in Japan, you eat once and it works. Even school children in Japan are taught to eat 3 balanced meals and nothing in between. And when they do snack, it's usually a bite of dried seaweed, roasted beans, or a slice of fruit, not a 300-calorie granola bar wrapped in shiny plastic. There's also a cultural attitude of meal sanctity. Food is meant to be consumed with presence and attention, not scattered into every crevice of the day. Snacking is often viewed as a sign that your last meal failed, not that your willpower did. And here's the kicker. Because Japanese meals are satisfying and steadying, they train the metabolism to expect regularity, not chaos. This supports more stable insulin release, better digestion, and less systemic inflammation. Want to implement this? Design every meal to be metabolically complete. Protein, fat, slow carbs, and fermented food. Eat slowly. Eat enough. Then stop. No snack drawer. No protein bar in the car. No vending machine runs at 3 p.m. Eat like your body matters, and your metabolism will finally calm down. In Japan, if you're hungry between meals, it's not a craving. It's a clue. And the solution isn't to snack smarter. It's to eat smarter. 17. They walk inside their homes, and their floors are designed for it. Let me hit you with something you probably never considered. Japanese architecture is fat-burning. That's not a joke. The average Japanese home is laid out in such a way that it requires more movement per square foot than any Western house or apartment. Tatami mats, sliding doors, floor seating, futon beds that get folded up daily. All of these require bending, walking, kneeling, reaching, squatting, and shifting. A 2023 spatial movement study conducted by the Japan Institute of Ergonomic Health found that Japanese adults take 27% more steps inside the home compared to Americans without trying. Why? Because the design demands it. There's no lounging for 6 hours on a sectional. There's no tossing laundry in a machine next to the bedroom. There's movement built in everywhere. Want to sleep? You roll out a futon. Want to eat? You sit on the floor. Want to get dressed? Your closet's likely in a different room. Everything in a Japanese home supports circulation, mobility, and caloric output, even without you thinking about it. And then there's cleanliness. Japanese culture prizes a dirt-free interior, which means no shoes indoors. But that's not just about hygiene. It changes gait, posture, and how the feet interact with the ground. Barefoot walking stimulates the feet's 7000 plus nerve endings and supports the reflexology-based concept of energy movement. That's not New Age fluff. It's measurable. Foot stimulation has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and even boost vagal tone, which supports digestion and stress response. In Japan, walking barefoot on tatami mats isn't rustic, it's functional therapy. So if your home feels like a place of stagnation, not movement, rethink it. Put things on the floor. Store items in different rooms. Add zones that require getting up and down. Even changing to floor seating for one meal a day changes your biomechanics and posture. Because in Japan, your house isn't just where you rest. It's where you burn gently, daily, and without ever putting on gym clothes. 16. They drink tea after dinner to erase cravings and reset insulin. You think your dinner's done when the plate's empty? Not in Japan. There's a final act. A deliberate metabolic signal that says we're finished. It's tea. But not just any tea. A hot, unsweetened, often roasted or fermented brew served after the meal. Not with it. Think hojicha, roasted green tea. Bancha, a low-caffeine leaf. Or kuromame, black soybean tea, with nutty undertones. These aren't relaxation drinks. They're metabolic closers. A 2023 clinical trial from the Kyoto Nutritional Science Center found that post-meal consumption of roasted teas significantly reduced nighttime insulin spikes, improved fat oxidation during sleep, and cut nighttime cravings by 34% compared to those who drank only water. Why? Because the compounds in these teas, catechins, L-theanine, and Maillard reaction products from the roasting, trigger a gentle cascade of satiety and digestion signaling. You sip, you settle, you stop. Westerners often end meals with dessert, or worse, wine, both of which jack up insulin and derail overnight fat burning. In Japan, dessert is rare and alcohol is minimal on weeknights. Tea does the job. And because the ritual of sipping tea is mindful, quiet and slow, it doubles as an emotional cue that eating time is over. That's crucial. The biggest trigger for late-night eating isn't hunger, it's psychological open loops. You haven't told your brain, we're done. Tea closes the loop. Want to try it? Brew a pot of hojicha or bancha. Serve it hot. No sugar, no snacks, just 5 minutes. Sip, breathe. Let the body settle. You'll be shocked how your cravings vanish. Because in Japan, every meal has a clean exit. And that final sip? It's not just warm. It's wise. 15. They sit on the floor, and it changes everything from digestion to spinal alignment. Western chairs are making people fat, stiff, and inflamed, and no one talks about it. But in Japan, traditional homes, and even some restaurants still favor floor seating. And it's not just about aesthetics. Sitting on the floor, specifically in the seiza or agura positions, kneeling or cross-legged, is a metabolic and postural intervention baked into everyday life. A 2022 posture and mobility study from the University of Tokyo found that elderly adults who sat on the floor for at least one meal per day had better spine mobility, greater hip flexibility, stronger core activation, and lower abdominal fat than those who used Western-style chairs. Why? Because getting up and down from the floor activates the lower body, engages the posterior chain, and stimulates balance mechanisms that keep the body young and stable. Think about it. Every time a Japanese person stands up after sitting for dinner or tea, they perform a functional micro-squat. Multiply that by 3 meals a day, 365 days a year, and suddenly you have thousands of glute, quad, and hip mobility reps baked into a life without even stepping into a gym. But there's more. Sitting low naturally compresses the abdomen, encouraging slower eating, better chewing, and more mindful posture. The position aligns the esophagus and stomach at a more favorable angle for digestion, something Western gastroenterologists are only starting to understand. And culturally, it reinforces stillness and respect. When you eat sitting on the floor, you're grounded, literally. You move slower, talk less, and chew more. There's less fidgeting, no slouching into couch cushions, and none of that open-mouthed, slumped-over posture that destroys digestion. Even children are trained to sit seiza during meals or ceremonies, and it builds a kind of neuromuscular grace we've lost in the West. Want to adopt this? Start small. Sit on the floor once a day. At breakfast, tea, or even while journaling. Put a cushion under your hips if needed. Over time, your hips will loosen, your core will strengthen, and your digestion will smooth out. Because in Japan, posture isn't cosmetic, it's biochemical, and a flat belly might just start with getting rid of your chair. 14. They eat bitter foods regularly, and they don't dilute the flavor. In Japan, bitterness is embraced, not disguised. And that's a big reason why their waistlines stay flat, and their livers function like clockwork. Unlike the Western obsession with sweetness, Japanese cuisine proudly features bitter vegetables like goya, bitter melon, shiso leaves, daikon radish tops, burdock root, gobo, mustard greens, and sancho pepper. These foods aren't eaten because they taste good to everyone. They're eaten because they stimulate digestion, detoxification, and fat metabolism. A 2023 study, published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry, found that bitter compounds like mamordicin and andrographolide, found in Japanese bitter melon and gobo, activated PPR alpha gene expression, which promotes fat oxidation in the liver and improves insulin sensitivity. Translation: bitterness flips on your body's internal fat-burning switch. That's not all. Bitter foods trigger the release of bile acids, which help emulsify fat and improve absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. If your gallbladder is sluggish or worse removed, bitterness becomes your new best friend. In traditional Kampo medicine, bitter flavors are associated with clearing heat, moving stagnant liver qi, and draining excess dampness, all metaphors for metabolic dysfunction. And here's the genius part. These foods aren't buried under sauces or sweetened to be palatable. They're served plainly, lightly steamed, sometimes raw, with just enough soy or vinegar to balance, not mask their bite. That keeps the tongue engaged, the brain alert, and the body responsive. Even children in Japan are exposed to bitter foods early, developing palates that don't chase sugar with every meal. In contrast, Western diets are sweetness dominant. Even salads are drenched in honey vinaigrettes. That's not seasoning, that's sabotage. If your cravings are out of control, if your liver is overburdened, or if your energy slumps after every meal, you probably need more bitter. Try Goya stir-fried with egg, or burdock root pickled in vinegar, or even unsweetened green tea with roasted twigs. Kukicha. It might taste odd at first, but give it a week. Your tongue adapts, your digestion sharpens, and your waistline tightens. Because in Japan, food isn't just flavor, it's function. And bitterness isn't rejected, it's respected. They walk with purpose, not just for steps, but for scenery and stress. Yes, you already know that Japanese people walk more, but here's what you probably don't realize. They don't walk to burn calories. They walk for connection to nature, to rhythm, to stress reduction. And that's exactly why it works. In Japan, the concept of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, is a national health practice, not a luxury spa trend. It involves walking slowly and mindfully through wooded areas, paying attention to light, smell, sound, and texture. A 2023 longitudinal study from Chiba University found that weekly Shinrin-yoku participants had 30% lower cortisol, lower visceral fat, and improved natural killer cell activity, which supports immune function and metabolic resilience. And guess what? It wasn't from speed walking or cardio. It was from slowness. In Japan, walking is often done in silence, without headphones, without counting steps. People walk to shrines, through narrow residential alleys, or alongside rivers. They use their senses. They breathe. They notice. And this parasympathetic activation, turning off fight or flight and turning on rest and digest, is exactly what makes walking an effective fat burner. Because when your nervous system is balanced, your hormones follow, insulin stabilizes, cravings disappear, sleep improves, and that's when the weight starts melting. Compare that to Western walking, treadmill sprints, phone in hand, loud music, or power walking with a Fitbit goal. All stress, no peace. Japanese walking says the opposite. Walk to connect, not to burn. And it's built into the culture. Grandparents walk after dinner. Students walk home from school. Commuters walk through shrine paths instead of main streets on purpose. Even urban Tokyoites seek quiet alleys and garden shortcuts. Want to replicate this? Start with 15 minutes a day. No headphones. No tracking. Walk where there are trees, shadows, or water. Breathe through your nose. Notice the light on leaves. That's it. Because in Japan, the body doesn't just need movement. It needs peaceful movement. And that's what unlocks a metabolism that works. 12. They practice food gratitude before, during, and after every meal. Let's talk about something you can't see on a nutrition label, but that changes everything. In Japan, gratitude for food isn't just polite. It's metabolic programming. Before eating, Japanese people say, "Itadakimasu," which roughly translates to, "I humbly receive." After eating, they say, Gochisu sama deshita, meaning thank you for the meal. And these aren't empty phrases. They're embedded in culture, childhood education, and even company cafeterias. This isn't just about manners. It's about mindfulness, pace, and parasympathetic activation. A 2023 study by the Nagoya Institute of Brain Sciences showed that people who expressed gratitude before meals had lower baseline cortisol, better digestion markers like stomach acid output and motility, and significantly lower nighttime cravings. Why? Because gratitude shifts you from stress to presence. It triggers the vagal nerve, which governs digestion, hunger regulation, and mood. That means when you pause to give thanks, even for 5 seconds, you're telling your body, you're safe. You can digest now. Westerners eat in cars, while scrolling TikTok, or while fighting with emails. There's no beginning, no closure, just constant, anxious chewing. In Japan, meals have emotional bookends. They start with reverence, they end with reflection. And that framework regulates how much you eat, how fast, and how well it's absorbed. Even school children bow before meals. Even factory workers say "Itagimasu" before grabbing a bento. It's national behavior. Want to implement this? Say a phrase before meals. Not religious, just respectful. Thank you for this food. Sit. Breathe. Notice the colors. Smell it. Feel the warmth. Start your first bite after you've shifted into calm. That one moment will change your digestion, your cravings, and your relationship with food. Because in Japan, eating isn't just physical, it's emotional intelligence, and it trains the body to be full without overeating. 11. They view fermentation as food transformation, not trend. In the West, fermented foods are having a moment. Sauerkraut, kombucha, yogurt. But in Japan, fermentation is a food category, not a bonus. It's foundational. Miso, natto, soy sauce, mirin, tsukemono, pickled vegetables, umeboshi, plums, and even fish. Dozens of Japanese staples are fermented, and they're eaten with every single meal. A 2022 gut microbiome study from Osaka Medical University found that Japanese adults who consumed at least 3 servings of fermented food daily had better SCFA, production, improved gut lining integrity, and lower systemic inflammation, even when their diets were higher in carbs. How? Because fermentation pre-digests food. It breaks down complex proteins, increases vitamin B and K availability, and populates the gut with postbiotics, the actual metabolic products of good bacteria. And these compounds regulate everything from blood sugar to mood to belly fat. Miso is a fermented soybean paste that supports the immune system and contains protective isoflavones. Natto is a sticky, pungent fermented soybean dish loaded with vitamin K2, which clears calcium from arteries and improves insulin sensitivity. And Tsukemono pickles contain Lactobacillus plantarum, which enhances digestion, reduces bloating, and balances gut pH. And get this, these foods are often home fermented, not factory sterilized. That means they're alive, and your gut knows the difference. Western fermented foods are often pasteurized or loaded with sugar. In Japan, fermentation is minimal, raw, and sacred. Want to harness this? Start with miso soup at breakfast. Add a slice of umeboshi to your rice. Eat raw sauerkraut or kimchi without sugar with your main meal. Not just as a side, but as a digestive enzyme system. Because in Japan, food doesn't just feed you. It teaches your body how to use what you eat. and that's how they stay lean, even while eating rice. 10. They use small plates and never pile them. Here's something almost no one in Western nutrition talks about. Your eyes decide how much you eat, not your stomach. And in Japan, this is not just understood, it's designed around. Japanese meals are served in an array of small individual dishes, often on a tray, where each item is given its own space. Nothing is piled, nothing is touching. There's no main plate. And it turns out this visual structure dramatically reduces overeating. A 2023 behavioral neuroscience study from the University of Kyoto found that participants who ate identical meals, served on multiple small plates, consumed 21% fewer calories and rated themselves as more satisfied, simply because of the illusion of abundance. The brain perceives variety, completeness, and fullness more quickly when food is spread out visually and texturally. This is called unit bias. Your mind believes one unit of food is a meal, no matter the size. In the West, that unit is often a dinner plate that could hold an entire roast chicken. In Japan, it's a tea saucer-sized bowl of rice, a tiny plate of pickles, a delicate bowl of miso, a few slices of grilled fish. Visually, it's an orchestra, but volumetrically, it's a fraction of what most Westerners eat. And this works at every level, from school lunches to five-star kaiseki dinners. There's even a cultural philosophy behind it, motto anai, which means don't waste. Small portions encourage appreciation. And when food is beautiful, intentional, and spaced, you don't want to ruin it by overfilling your stomach. Want to try this? Get rid of your oversized dinner plates. Use a tray. Serve your meals in 4 to 5 small dishes, even if it's just toast, eggs, fruit, and tea. Keep each item distinct. Watch how your mind slows down, how your appetite feels more stable. Because in Japan, the plate isn't just a plate. It's a psychological tool for balance, restraint, and most of all, respect. And it trains your eyes, stomach, and brain to say, that was enough, before you've even finished chewing. 9. They prioritize umami, the fifth taste Westerners barely understand. Let's talk about the flavor that secretly keeps Japanese people slim. Umami. You've probably heard the term before, but you may not understand just how powerful it is. Umami, often described as savory or meaty, is the fifth taste, joining sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. But unlike the others, umami doesn't just taste good. It signals the brain that you're satisfied faster and more completely. Japanese meals are engineered around this. Dashi broth, miso, soy sauce, mushrooms, seaweed, fermented fish flakes. All of these are rich in glutamates, the compounds that trigger umami receptors on the tongue and gut. A 2022 study from Tokyo University's Department of Nutritional Neuroscience found that meals high in natural umami compounds reduced hunger hormone ghrelin levels more effectively than fat or sugar, even with fewer calories. That means umami foods satisfy you more while delivering less energy. It's the metabolic cheat code no one's using. And here's the kicker. Umami enhances the flavors of vegetables and lean proteins without needing to add fat or sugar. That's why Japanese food can be low in oil and still feel indulgent. A simple broth with kombu and bonito flakes hits the same satiety centers in the brain as a cheeseburger, but with 1/10 of the calories and none of the inflammation. In the West, we chase satisfaction with sugar, salt, and fat. But in Japan, they chase depth, layering flavors that dance on the palate and quiet the craving centers in the brain. Want to implement this? Learn how to make dashi. It's a simple broth made from kombu, sea kelp, and katsuobushi, fermented fish flakes, and it forms the base of countless Japanese meals. Or start with miso soup, rich in umami and probiotics. Add shiitake mushrooms or fermented soy. When you build flavor depth, your body stops screaming for snacks, because in Japan, flavor isn't just pleasure, it's physiology. And umami is how they stay lean, without ever feeling deprived. 8. They don't reward kids with food, and it protects them for life. This might sting a bit. In the West, we reward kids with cookies, ice cream, pizza parties, birthday cake. We tie emotions, joy, success, even love to food. But in Japan, this connection is almost non-existent. Food is not used as a behavioral bribe or an emotional pacifier, and that single cultural difference creates lifelong metabolic protection. A 2023 child nutrition study by the Japanese Society of Pediatric Health found that children raised without food-based rewards had lower emotional eating scores, better leptin sensitivity, and reduced risk of adolescent obesity, even if they consumed the same number of calories as their Western peers. Why? Because the brain didn't learn to equate eating with comfort. In Japan, meals are structured, consistent, and emotionally neutral. You eat because you're hungry. You stop when you're not. That's it. There's no good job, here's a treat. No, you're sad, let's get a snack. And as a result, Japanese kids grow up with stable hunger cues and less food-related anxiety. Even at school, meals are eaten in quiet groups, often in the classroom, with everyone receiving the same bento. No trades, no junk food, no skipping. It's a shared ritual of nourishment, not a dopamine circus. Compare that to Western schools, vending machines, Lunchables, sugar-laced snacks, and emotional chaos. That's not childhood. That's early-stage metabolic trauma. And here's the magic of Japan's approach. When food isn't emotionally charged, it becomes easier to regulate for life. Adults raised this way are less likely to binge, stress eat, or fall into food as therapy cycles. Want to bring this into your home? Stop using food as reward. Replace "you did great, here's ice cream" with "let's play outside, let's do something fun," or even just praise without a snack. Let food exist for nourishment, not comfort. Because in Japan, emotional stability and metabolic health are taught at the dinner table, not with dessert. 7. They never eat in transit. Because meals deserve full attention. You've seen it everywhere. People eating in their cars, on the subway, walking down the street with fast food in one hand and a phone in the other. In the West, eating on the go is normal, expected even. But in Japan, it's practically taboo. And the reason is simple: eating without presence breaks digestion and leads to overconsumption. In Japanese culture, eating is a dedicated activity, not a background one. A 2022 behavioral study from Osaka International University found that distracted eaters, those who consumed meals while moving, driving, or watching screens, ate 28% more food, had higher post-meal glucose spikes, and reported more frequent bloating, fatigue, and cravings. But when participants ate the same food while seated, focused, and in silence, these effects vanished. In Japan, even convenience store meals are eaten seated on benches outside the shop or in dedicated indoor spaces. Commuters don't eat on trains. Students don't snack while walking. And if you do, it's considered disrespectful, both to others and to the food. That cultural norm forces people to slow down, chew, and metabolize properly. It also creates emotional boundaries. Food isn't used to numb boredom in traffic or anxiety during phone calls. It's consumed with focus, and that trains the body to recognize satiety and satisfaction without confusion. Compare that to Western culture, where people inhale 600 calories in a parking lot and can't even remember what it tasted like. That's not hunger. That's habit, and it's wrecking our hormonal rhythms. Want to try the Japanese way? Make a rule. Never eat while driving, standing or scrolling, even if it's just 5 minutes. Sit down, use a napkin, look at your food, engage your senses. It'll feel odd at first, but then you'll realize how fast you were eating before. Because in Japan, eating is sacred space, and digestion starts with attention. 6. They end meals with warm soup, not dessert, and it resets the entire body. Western meals often end in disaster. Dessert, coffee, sugar bombs. But in Japan, the finish line is light, warm, and deeply metabolic. Enter post-meal soup. Yes, soup is often served at the end of meals, not the beginning, and it's not just tradition, it's biochemistry. A 2023 study from the Japanese Endocrinology Research Center found that finishing a meal with warm umami-rich broth improved blood sugar clearance, reduced nighttime cortisol levels, and increased satiety hormones like peptide YY. This wasn't just for diabetics or the elderly. It worked across age groups. Why? Because ending with soup slows gastric emptying, calms the nervous system, and triggers a full-body meal complete signal that suppresses cravings and prepares the body for rest. Think of it like a warm hand guiding you out of eating mode. Miso soup, clear dashi, egg drop broth with seaweed. These aren't heavy, they're mineral-rich, easy to digest, and deeply satisfying. And they contain just enough salt and amino acids to regulate hydration and electrolyte balance, especially if the meal included rice or fermented foods. In contrast, dessert slams the body with sugar, spikes insulin, and creates rebound hunger. It's like flooring the gas pedal after turning off the engine. Want to copy this? Replace dessert with broth. Any light soup will do. But miso is king. Add wakame seaweed, tofu, scallions. Sip slowly. Let the warmth tell your body, we're done. No crash, no sugar spiral, just calm, clean, hormonal closure. Because in Japan, meals don't end with sweetness. They end with stillness. 5. They go to sleep early, not just to rest, but to protect blood sugar overnight. Western culture treats sleep like a luxury. In Japan, it's a discipline. Bedtime isn't just about ending the day. It's a metabolic commitment. In most Japanese households, especially among the elderly and middle-aged, lights dim around 9:30 to 10 p.m., with people asleep by 10:30 at the latest. And this isn't just for energy. It's for hormonal alignment. A 2023 longitudinal study from the National Institute of Sleep Medicine in Tokyo found that adults with consistent early bedtimes had 18% lower fasting insulin, better leptin to ghrelin ratios, and reduced belly fat accumulation over a 12-month period, even without changes in diet or exercise. Why? Because late-night wakefulness is strongly linked to dysregulated cortisol, nocturnal eating, and impaired overnight glucose clearance, all of which add up to fat storage, inflammation, and fatigue. Sleep isn't passive. It's when the liver detoxifies, the pancreas resets insulin sensitivity, and the mitochondria perform cellular repair. And Japanese culture, even in dense urban areas, reinforces this cycle. TV programming ends earlier, late-night lighting is minimal, and screen time is often curtailed by habit, not hacks. In Kampo, traditional Japanese medicine, staying up past midnight is said to burn the liver, a poetic way of warning against overtaxing the organ that handles sugar and fat processing. Compare that to the West, where we're bombarded with LED lights until 2 a.m., snacking out of boredom and wondering why our body is swollen and sluggish in the morning. And here's something subtle but powerful. Japanese bedrooms are often minimalistic futons, no clutter, no TV, and quiet surroundings, all of which reduce visual stress and encourage deep, uninterrupted sleep. If you're hitting a wall in your fat loss journey, try this. Shut down screens by 9 p.m., take a hot bath, as they do in Japan, and be in bed by 10 o'clock. Your hormones will shift, your digestion will catch up, your cravings will disappear. Because in Japan, the slim body isn't built in the kitchen, it's built while you sleep. And the earlier you do it, the more fat you burn while doing absolutely nothing. 4. They breathe through their nose, not just for calm, but to regulate metabolism. You might think breathing is too basic to affect weight, but in Japan, the how of breathing is as important as the breath itself, and the focus is squarely on nasal breathing, not mouth breathing. This subtle difference rewires everything from fat burning to hormonal control. In traditional martial arts, tea ceremonies, even calligraphy and daily walks, Japanese people are trained to breathe slowly and in and out through the nose, especially during sleep, conversation, or concentration. And the science is catching up. A 2023 study from Kyoto University's Department of Respiratory Metabolism showed that habitual nasal breathers had better oxygen exchange, lower resting heart rates, more efficient carbon dioxide regulation, and most surprisingly, greater fat oxidation during low-intensity movement, even without a change in physical activity. Why? Because nose breathing stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing cortisol and promoting metabolic homeostasis. It also regulates nitric oxide, which improves oxygen delivery to tissues, enhances insulin sensitivity, and even suppresses appetite. Meanwhile, mouth breathing, common in the West due to stress, poor posture, and overventilation, leads to shallow respiration, anxiety, increased cortisol, and yes, abdominal fat accumulation over time. In Japan, this principle is integrated into everything. Children in schools are taught to keep their mouths closed, unless speaking. Martial arts students practice breathing drills. Monks chant with deep diaphragmatic control. Even tea ceremonies are synchronized with breath to encourage metabolic regulation and calm. And there's a reason Japanese people don't snore as much. Their sleeping posture, nasal hygiene, and stress levels encourage closed-mouth sleep. If you're always tired, bloated, and struggling with cravings, try this ancient and shockingly effective hack. Shut your mouth. Literally. Train yourself to breathe through your nose, day and night. Tape your lips shut when you sleep, if necessary. A technique now backed by sleep researchers, because in Japan, they don't just eat differently, they breathe differently. And that one switch could be the difference between your body staying inflamed or finally coming back into balance. 3. They expose their skin to the elements. Sun, wind, cold. Every single day. Modern wellness tells you to stay inside. Slather on SPF 100. Crank the thermostat and avoid discomfort at all costs. But in Japan, subtle exposure to the natural elements is treated as a daily health ritual. Whether it's stepping outside barefoot onto a stone path, airing futons in the sun, opening shoji screens to let the breeze in, or walking in chilly air without bundling up like a marshmallow, Japanese people let nature touch their skin, and this has profound metabolic implications. A 2022 clinical study from the Nagasaki Center for Thermoregulatory Health found that regular exposure to mild cold and natural light increased brown adipose tissue BAT activity, improved circadian rhythm entrainment, and enhanced thyroid hormone function, all of which are critical for fat metabolism and energy regulation. Brown fat, in particular, burns calories to produce heat, and it's stimulated by cold air, sun exposure, and skin surface thermogenesis. Meanwhile, constant indoor climate control atrophies brown fat, leading to increased white fat storage. And Japanese homes, by design, encourage exposure. Many lack central heating. Winters are braved with hot tea, warm clothes, and sunlight, not 75 degrees Fahrenheit thermostats. Even public bathhouses have cold plunge options for circulation. And culturally, there's a word for the practice, karada o kaze ni atatameru, letting the wind touch the body. Want to reclaim this metabolic gift? Start small. Open a window when you wake. Let the morning sun hit your face before checking your phone. Stand outside for 5 minutes in a t-shirt, even when it's cold. Do it daily. Your body will adapt. Your metabolism will awaken, and your mood, surprisingly, will rise. Because in Japan, health isn't just in what you eat, it's in how you engage with the world around you. Sunlight, wind, cold, it's all medicine, too. They treat the gut like the command center, not an afterthought. Here's something Japan understands that the West is just beginning to grasp. Your gut is not just a digestive tube. It's the command center for your entire metabolic system. Mood, weight, inflammation, immunity, it all starts in the intestines. And in Japan, the gut is treated with the same respect as the brain. Meals are built around gut-feeding foods. Fermented soy, miso, natto, pickled vegetables, tsukemono, seaweed, low-cooked root vegetables, and easily digestible fish proteins. But even more importantly, meals are timed, sequenced, and never rushed. A 2023 review in the Journal of Gastrointestinal Immunology found that Japanese adults who ate with meal rhythm, probiotic variety, and time-restricted windows had greater bacterial diversity, better fat regulation, and lower systemic inflammation, even when compared to Westerners on calorie-matched diets. Why? Because gut health isn't just about what you eat. It's about when and how. In Japan, meals are rarely eaten outside of fixed times. Snacking is minimal. Meals start with a slow, warm food, like soup or pickled vegetables, which primes digestive enzymes. There's minimal sugar, no emulsifiers, no artificial sweeteners, and almost no seed oils, all of which wreck the Western gut. Even their portion sizes and eating speed support the migrating motor complex. The gut's built-in housekeeping wave that clears out toxins between meals. And culturally, gut health is sacred. The stomach is called hara, your center, both physically and energetically. Even emotional stability is tied to gut calmness. If your stomach is bloated, gassy, constipated, anxious, you can't think, move, or metabolize efficiently. Want to follow their lead? Respect your gut. Eat at the same times daily. Chew slowly. Avoid additives. Add fermented foods. Yes, but more importantly, stop eating chaotically. Because in Japan, the gut isn't a battleground. It's a temple. And when the temple is clean, everything else falls into place. 1. They treat eating like a craft, and never eat the same exact meal twice. This is the final, invisible master habit that ties all the others together. Japanese people don't eat clean. They eat balanced. But more importantly, they eat variety. Not occasionally, but daily. You'll rarely see a Japanese household repeat the exact same meal 2 days in a row. Even if it's rice and miso soup again, the vegetables will be different. The pickles will rotate. The broth will change. This concept is called shokuiku, a lifelong food education that teaches not just nutrition, but nutrient diversity. And the results are staggering. A 2023 cross-sectional analysis from the Japanese Dietetic Association found that households consuming over 80 unique food items per week had lower abdominal fat, better gut flora composition, and greater metabolic flexibility than those eating under 40, even if calorie intake was identical. Why? Because repetition breeds inflammation. Eating the same healthy foods over and over, chicken, broccoli, oatmeal, limits your gut diversity, taxes your detox pathways, and builds hidden intolerances. But in Japan, each meal is a new composition, a small culinary experiment that keeps the gut guessing, the brain engaged, and the body metabolically nimble. And this doesn't require a chef's skill. It requires seasonal awareness. Spring means bitter greens and bamboo. Summer means cooling cucumbers and cold soba. Fall brings mushrooms, root vegetables, and miso with extra depth. Winter demands warm stews and slow-cooked fish. Even convenience stores rotate food seasonally. Want to embody this? Make one change. Never eat the same dinner twice in a row. Rotate your protein. Change your vegetable color. Try a new ferment or grain. Keep your gut alive through culinary surprise. Because in Japan, food is not a routine. It's a living art. And eating that way doesn't just make you healthier. It makes you human again.